Ramaphosa in Parliament to give account of what has happened in the last year, but also what are his plans for the next 5 years. What are we learning tonight?
Oh, good evening, Tabo. Of course, not exactly a year since the president gave his last address here at the State of the Nation address. And I'll tell you what, the one thing that tells you that it's not the same time of the year last year is the weather. It's sweltering hot here in Cape Town. The last time we were here, of course, it was just in the heart of winter after those May elections. But I'll tell you what, the expectation remains the same nonetheless. What will the president say that will steer the direction of the country to help it get out of some of the challenges that it's facing? Now, of course, tonight are the final preparations that officials here at Parliament are conducting. You'll see a lot of work being done, a lot of rehearsals taking place right now to ensure that everything goes smoothly tomorrow. Of course, we know that this year's State of the Nation address comes at an even reduced price than what they managed to do last year. Cost cutting and austerity remain the order of the day. Well, let's get straight into then what we can expect. One of the presiding officers, Lechesa Tsenoli, joins me now. Tsenoli, it's such a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before we go into what we can expect happening in the corridors, we've just come out of a clip of Carl Niehaus and that confirmation that came from Parliament around President Jacob Zuma's attendance. Tell us about what happened there. Was there confusion about whether or not the president was going to be attending tomorrow's SONA?
No, I don't think we should make much of it, because essentially what happens, invitations are issued, and oftentimes the people who have been invited take time to respond, and in this instance the result of receiving responses from all of them can create a problem in what is said. And oftentimes in our offices, people issue responses on our behalf only to find that it's not appropriate. So a correction, I don't think it's a problem. So the only area, as far as I'm concerned, is that the invitation was issued to all the presidents, including President Zuma, and then it turns out that he's not able to do so when initially we were informed that he is. So that's the kind of thing that I think would have happened. But
so are you saying it's just miscommunication? Because Carl Niehaus seems to think that there's a bigger political agenda that's at play here, ultimately to undermine the former president and to make him look bad, essentially.
Okay. I don't know who he represents, Carl Niehaus. But the information, as far as we are concerned, the question of people whether they come or not has got nothing to do with their image. If they can't make it, they can't make it for good reasons. As far as they are concerned, we have to do the good thing of inviting all presidents. We have a reputation of doing that consistently. To try and politicize this confusion, it's really ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
All right, let's get then into the state of affairs here at Parliament. A lot of work is taking place tonight ahead of tomorrow. I wonder, what are some of your key concerns going into tomorrow as far as logistics are centered here?
Yeah, if it's about concerns, is that the plans that we've put into place, including the practices that we are seeing around us here, go without a hitch. You know, they say no plan escapes implementation. As soon as you implement, something goes haywire there and there. But the state of readiness is such that we will be able to cope with anything that arises. We are happy to date of preparations, and we think we will be able to handle hosting the president once more, including the guests from the three arms of the state and the institutions that support democracy, and individuals and civil society organizations that have been able to accept our invitations.
You've seen your fair share of chaos within those chambers with the threats that we're getting from the likes of the EFF.
Yes.
What do you anticipate tomorrow might happen? And speak to us about some of the security measures that would be in place in anticipation of any form of disruptions.
The rules have provided, the joint rules and the rules of each of the houses provides for handling disruptions. This is a political institutions. So we do know and anticipate sometimes people might get carried away by the moment and want to do things that are not in line with the rules. We are ready to deal with them as we have dealt with them in the past.
Does that include the calling of private security, the assaults that we have taken, or have we moved beyond those scenes
You
now?
can't claim private security. There is no private security here. I know what we have is the Sergeant-at-Arms, and if they can't listen to the Sergeant-at-Arms, we will call in the Parliamentary Protection Services. Let's not be caught by the language we use to describe people who are employed to carry out an important duty of ensuring that the function of Parliament happens without disruption. We do expect people to be sensible, to leave when they are asked to leave, if that comes to that push. And if they don't, the rules provide us to take them out. That we can assure anybody who intends to do any of those things. We are prepared for that. The rules gives us that.
What are you looking forward to in terms of the president's speech? Of course, he's set to really set the tone for the rest of the year and highlight some of the issues that the country is going to face and give the marching orders even to you as a parliament and the kind of work that you need to be doing.
Yeah. Well, although this is an occasion requested by the president, this is Parliament. So he's going to be giving us as Parliament his perspective on a diagnosis of where the country is right now and give us signposts of where he is directing the people on behalf of whom he's talking. That is the executive that he leads. So having listened to him, the next thing that we are going to hear is the debate by the different political parties about that. And once that is done, we have the next iteration of the budget being provided for what to do about some of the key issues that the president would have announced in his State of the Nation address, in his analysis of what needs to be done. And then our job as Parliament, the first one is to debate his State of the Nation address. In other words, he also knows that no one has the wisdom of understanding the problems of our country. This is why we have a democracy. His speech will be debated. And this is why we think that people who have strongly opposing views have a platform to express them during that debate. So this is what we expect, a debate subsequent to what he's going to be saying by way of analysis and giving us signposts of what's going to happen.
When it comes to some of the institutions that Parliament has to interact with in its work, there's one institution that already you're going to be somewhat in conflict with, if that is even the right word to use, and that's the Public Protector's Office.
Yes.
What does it mean to be going into the session of Parliament and having yourselves and the Public Protector now face off in court?
Well, Parliament, the occasion includes Parliament, all members of Parliament, including the judiciary. The entire leadership of the judiciary will be here tomorrow, and the executive will be under the same roof, and all the institutions that support democracy. And all of us are in one state or another of a debate or a conflict or legal contestation. And that's what democracy is about. So there's nothing untoward about going into that, including hosting her, as we regularly do in our offices here, ahead of the State of the Nation address. It doesn't affect the relationship that which the Constitution calls cooperating on basic things.
Very lastly, Ntate Tsenoli, what have been the lessons that you have learned over the years, especially during the times that we've seen SONA descend into chaos, and how will that help tomorrow?
Well, one of the things that disappoints some of us is the extent to which some people can go to degenerate in what they do inside the house even when they have opportunity to express their opinions openly, without doubt. So we hope that we can overcome that. One of the big lessons is that whilst we can be optimistic about how people can act properly and in order and in a robust manner, but we must always expect we will be disappointed. And if that happens, we are provided for to be able to handle those appropriately in the name of the people who invited us to serve them here.
All right. Well, certainly is going to be an occasion that we'll be watching, as will the rest of the country. Of course, it'll be important to hear what exactly the president has to say. That's what we're